Hey, what's up, killers? It is your final girl Mel coming at you from my killer podcast, and it is September already. Spooky season is upon us, and it is glorious. I am even chilly. The temperatures have been incredibly hot around here, and for me to be chilly is fantastic. I am feeling incredibly spooky. We're going to be getting into some spooky content, and I am here for it. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about movies that genuinely scared me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't get scared when I watch movies. I do. I get the jump scares, and I get the creeps, and I get all of the things. But I have grown up on horror movies since I was a young child. Not a lot of movies do get to me. There are a select few that have traumatized me, and I still think about them. Some of them have become comfort movies, which I do find to be quite odd. But some of them are ones that were one and done. I watched them once and never watched them again. So I compiled a list of movies for you guys to check out. Maybe you haven't seen these, maybe you have. Maybe you have some movies you want me to check out, so kill the comments below and let me know those. Today we're doing a hit list on movies that genuinely scared me. So this is where you guys get a little insight into the world of Mel and what genuinely scares the shit out of me. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, I'm not only on YouTube, I'm on a bunch of other social media platforms. Kill the description box below and follow me everywhere. I also have a Patreon, and channel memberships are active, so click that join button if you would like to help support me and my channel. You will also get your name at the end of the video, which is so cool. So cool. As I alluded, we are going to be doing a hit list of movies that genuinely scared the shit out of me, and we are going to dive right into it. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking The Exorcist is definitely going to be on this list. It is not. And I'm not saying that this movie wouldn't have been on the list at one point or another, but when I was young, this movie did scare the shit out of me. I admit it did. But now as an adult, when I watch this movie, it does not scare me. Does it make me uncomfortable? Are there certain scenes in this movie that are ooey gooey? Yes. This movie also suffers the tragedy of Scary Movie as well, where I do associate these two movies now, and some of these scenes are kind of comical to me. in a certain way now. So when I watch this, I think about that movie, and it's just no longer scary to me. I can watch this movie and be totally fine. All right, let's jump into the list. I have 10 movies for you guys that genuinely scared the shit out of me. And these are in no particular order because I was looking at these prior to this video and trying to put them in a particular order of like least scariest to most scariest. All of these movies are just equally terrifying to me. So there was just no order to put these in. So these are in no particular order whatsoever. So we are starting off with Joel Anderson's 2008 Lake Mungo. This movie is a documentary-style found footage flick where the family of a young woman who has gone missing is doing a documentary on her and the end of her life. Genuinely creeped me out. I knew nothing about this flick going into it. I knew that it was something odd going into it. That is all that I knew about it. Nobody was talking about this movie back when I watched it for the first time. And I have the second sight release. It's the Blu-ray release. It is region free. Umbrella is releasing the 4K. It's coming soon. if anybody is interested in that one. It is packed and shipped around $100 for that release, though. It does look as if the extra features, there are a bunch of new ones that are coming with that release that aren't on this one. But the imagery in this movie and the way that it was shot, found footage style, there's certain elements to it when it follows the daughter around that just make you genuinely uncomfortable. It really gets under your skin. And I watched this by myself in my living room at night, which is how I watch most of my movies. And it was almost like a test for myself, you know, just to see how far I can push my limits of watching horror alone. But I was genuinely creeped out when I was done watching this movie. It hung with me for several days afterwards. I could not shake this movie. And it's not even particularly that this one is that horrifying. It has this way of creeping under your skin. The people in it are awkward, and the situations are really weird and creepy. And the imagery at the end and the certain situations that happen, I don't want to give anything away, and what ultimately you find out happens to her, it's creepy and it's weird, and all of the cinematography and all of that combined into this one movie makes it so uncomfortable and so weird that it just hangs with you, and it gives you an icky feeling. That is actually a really good way to describe Lake Mungo, is it just makes you feel uncomfortable and icky. And there are certain scenes where you're kind of like trying not to watch it, and you're like, if you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. I doubt this is going to be one that you're going to be watching over and over again, because I definitely don't reach for this one all the time. But it's worth giving it a watch for the shock value of it. Next up on the list is another found footage. I'm not saying all of these movies are going to be hidden gems that nobody has ever heard of. A lot of these you're going to have heard of. They're epically scary movies for a reason, and that is the Blair Witch Project. I was around when this movie first came out, and I was around for all of the marketing and all of the hype of this movie. When they made it seem like it was real, and all of those people were hanging out in the woods and all of that stuff. I was around for all of that. So when this movie came out and I watched it for the first time, all of that affected me in all of the ways that everyone wanted it to. So 1999 Blair Witch Project by Eduardo Sanchez is on my list, especially the part at the end when dude is standing in the corner in the basement and he is just motionless. That part freaked me out so bad. And the funny part about it is not a lot happens in this movie. It is all camera work, it's all found footage, it's all cinematography, and it's all performance. You don't see a lot. Nothing really happens in this movie. It's all in how they put it together, which is equally amazing and what makes this movie so great. And the fact that they played so hard into the marketing is so fantastic. They did it so great. And you kind of see that later on with movies too. Now, before certain movies drop, like when the new It dropped, there were all these clowns hanging out in the woods and stuff like that. Like, I love it when they do stuff like that. I think it's so fun. Do I want to be in those areas where these things happen? No, but I think it's fun to hear about. I watch it now and I'm fine. I don't revisit this movie probably hardly ever. It's kind of one of those movies where you watch it and you experience it for the first time, and then after that, it's kind of over. And unfortunately, this movie, I feel like, is a product of its time. You almost had to have been there. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate for people today to watch this movie as a new viewer and had not been there when it all went down. Because all of that It was all part of the launch of this movie, and it was all part of how this movie affected you when you saw it for the first time in your theater experience. I really feel like anybody who sees this movie now, it's not going to affect them the same way that it did all of us when we saw it for the first time when it came out. But Blair Witch Project scared the crap out of me. All right, guys, we're going to be talking about some aliens. And that is 2009's The Fourth Kind. This is starring Milla Jovovich. I absolutely love her in pretty much everything, especially The Fifth Element. I think she's so gorgeous. But this movie is supposedly based on a true story that happened in Nome, Alaska. All the research that I did after watching this, because trust, it affected me so much that I went straight to my computer after I drove home in the middle of the night, and it was absolutely dark by myself, to do all of the research that I could about this very situation, and I could not find anything. So I'm almost wondering if this is like a mockumentary style movie. Milla Jovovich, she is a psychologist in Nome, and she's noticing that her patients are all suffering kind of the same ailments, and it has to do with things that are happening to them at night. And it's starting to seem like it might be happening to her as well, and it might be alien based. The thing about this movie that scared me, though, is the situations are kind of, they almost seem possession-like. There is some found footage elements where it shows Milla, she is supposed to be the characterization of the actual woman, and then they will split screen what is supposed to be the real footage of the real woman. And those scenes, in the way that they do them, where it's supposed to be the real footage of what actually happened, are so terrifying. And they do it so well because it's kind of like VHS style, where the screen is all scrambly and it's hard to tell what's going on. And they make it look really scary. But along with the aliens, there's some imagery with owls that's kind of terrifying. And they do a really good job where they don't exaggerate the alien stuff to the point where they make it unbelievable. They make it almost seem believable that this could actually be happening to these people. And that's where movies get terrifying, is when a situation or scenario seems like it could actually happen to you or me in real life. And then you're like, oh shit. I watched this movie for the first time at my momster's house. And then I had to drive home in the dark by myself. And I was like constantly like looking out my windows and like freaking out all the way home. This was a terrifying movie. And I don't normally get that scared of alien movies. I think Signs, there's a good scary scene in Signs, but ultimately that movie as a whole is not that scary. This is a scary alien movie. Check it out if you have not seen it, but definitely check it out if you don't think alien movies scare you, because this one might. So now we're going to kind of switch gears and we're going to go Sinister 2012. This movie is starring Ethan Hawke, and I think he just does an absolutely fantastic job in this movie. He's not an actor that I gravitate towards very often. I appreciate the movies that he's in that I like. I think he's fantastic in this movie, and this movie scared the bejesus out of me. It's also semi-found footage just based off of, he is a writer, he moves into this house, and he finds all of these movie reels, these like 35 millimeter or 16 millimeter, I think they're 16 millimeter movie reels, and he watches them, and then you get to see that found footage on those movie reels. And the found footage on those movie reels is really terrifying, to say the least. And because he watches these movie reels, shenanigans ensue from there with an entity that starts to have fun with him. It is very much should I say a paranormal? I absolutely love this movie. It has become a comfort movie of mine. It's funny when the movies that scare you the most become your comfort movies. I don't know how that happens or why. It's almost like you're kind of trying to make yourself okay with them by playing them all the time in the background and pretending that you're comfortable with them. I don't know, but this is I think it's the atmosphere of this movie. It's very warm and it's kind of a quiet movie. It's not like there's not a lot of things going on action-wise, but it's a lot more about the storytelling and visuals. I think maybe that's also why it's a comfort movie of mine now, but it's also very terrifying, okay? And the entity in this movie, which you can kind of see him right there, also shows up in the most menacing of ways. So that is also what kind of terrified me about this movie. I definitely recommend checking it out. It's creative in the way that they connect all of the stories together. I don't want to give anything away, but it is a very creatively told story. I will admit, kind of at the end, there are some digitally added effects at the end that I think were kind of hokey a little bit, but that's not until like the way very end. Most of the movie is practical and done found footage style on these 16mm camera reels. So I definitely recommend checking this one out. For the ambiance alone, it might just become one of your comfort movies too. How are we doing so far? Kill the comments below and let me know some of your comfort horror movies, and also let me know some of the movies that scared you the most, because I'm intrigued and I need to watch some more. Next up is one of my favorite movies on the list. Actually, it might be my favorite movie on the list. And it's also a newer one. And that's 2020 David Bruckner's The Night House. I feel like this movie got some buzz when it came out, but then it fizzled quite quickly and then no one talked about it again, which is quite sad because this is a fantastic movie. And it's also much like Sinister in the way that it's a comfort movie for me. And it's very warm and it's very quiet in some aspects. There are a few short segments of the movie that do get kind of loud, just in scenes of grief, I guess, for her. But other than that, it is a fairly quiet movie. So it has become one of my comfort movies as well. But this movie is pretty terrifying. This is a haunted house movie. I'll just put it out there. I don't think that that's any shock. It's called The Night House. But I think that this movie is very smart in the way that they do their scares, because they don't do it in such a way where it's like all of a sudden there's this gory scene or anything like that. They're very smart in the way that they show their hauntings in this movie, where you're looking right at it, but you don't see it right away. And it's not like a jump scare where you're just like all of a sudden like, it pops out at you and then you're scared, because, that agitates people. It gets you, but it agitates you. This movie, they do it in such a way where you're staring right at the scare and you don't realize it right away until you see it. And then when you see it, it scares the shit out of you. That's what this movie does best. This movie is so smart in the way that it shows you the thing that it wants to scare you, that you're looking right at it and you don't see it until you see it, and then it scares the shit out of you, and it's not a jump scare. It takes you a minute to see it, and then you see it, and then it scares the fucking shit out of you. So smart. And that's what I love about this movie is it doesn't need to like jump scare you, but it also doesn't need to show you horrifying creatures, and it doesn't need to show you, these awful ghosts, and it doesn't need to show you any of that. The general synopsis is this woman's husband dies and she has to take care of this night house. This is their this lake house is where they lived, and it's like now her duty to like pack it up and whatever. But then she slowly starts to realize that maybe her husband might still be there because weird things start happening while she's staying there. It's just an incredibly smart movie, the way that it's written and the way that it's filmed. And it also has this ending that just kind of shocks you, and you're just like, what the fuck? So if you have not seen The Night House, which I think out of all of the movies that I talk about today, this is going to be the one that maybe the most people have not seen. So if there is one movie on this list that I want people to go out and find and check out, it's this one. So if you do that, hit me up and let me know what you think, because this is by far my favorite movie on this list, is The Night House. So check this one out. All right, so now we're getting into the ones that are the most obviously terrifying for the most obvious of reasonings, I guess. 2013's The Conjuring. This one also, it just got a 4K. It had a really squishy box set release, and I wish I would have picked it up, and I didn't. I didn't even pick this up on 4K. Why did I not do that? It was during my time of not buying things, and now I regret it. I don't even have this on Blu-ray. This is how I have this movie on DVD. But the funny thing about The Conjuring is this is also a comfort movie of mine. Who in the hell has The Conjuring as a comfort movie? One of the most horrifying scenes in this movie for me is when Vera Farmiga falls down into the basement, and she's like under something. Maybe she's under the stairs. I don't know. And the hanging woman is hanging, and you just see her feet. And then they slowly like turn around and face her, and then they start like flying at her. That scene scared the crap out of me. There are so many scenes in this movie that were just terrifying. Like the woman on top of the wardrobe, that scene was terrifying. The scene where the Warrens were standing out in the yard and you just hear the hanging woman on the rope, like you hear the rope, and then you see the hanging woman kind of behind Vera Farmiga. There's just so much in this movie that's terrifying that they did so well. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga solidified their duo as like the horror king and queen in this movie for me. And The Conjuring Last Rites is coming out soon, which I cannot wait to see that. Hoping that one is going to be really good. I don't know. But this one is just, it's so epic and it's so horrifying. It's loosely based on a true story, but I mean, who really knows, you know? Who honestly really knows? It is a classic haunted house story, and it is one of the best and one of the scariest. In my humble opinion, this movie scared the shit out of me, but now I love it and I watch it all the time. All right, next up on the list, we got 2007's Paranormal Activity. This movie was kind of like the Blair Witch Project when it came out. It was an event. It was something to behold when this movie came out, but it was also kind of a one and done. Once you saw it, and that was kind of it. But the first time you watched it was amazing and horrifying, and you didn't know what to believe. It kind of came off like this really happened, and this is found footage about this couple moves into this house, and they put up cameras, and then all this weird stuff starts happening around this house, a classic haunted house story. I absolutely still love this movie. It is still creepy. I don't watch it all the time. This isn't one of those movies that you go back and you watch all the time. But these were so interesting. And it was such a creative concept when this movie first came out. Like, this movie was eerie and it was creepy. And the way that they did some of this stuff and the ending when shit just hit the fan. This movie was scary. It was horrifying, and it really kind of made you start second guessing the bumps in the night in your house, you know? So Paranormal Activity, this movie definitely was on my list of movies that scared the crap out of me. Can anybody guess what the trend is of what types of movies scare Mel? We got 2 movies left, okay? All right, next up is 1997's Event Horizon. This movie is starring Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne, is about a rescue crew on a mission to investigate the reappearance of a spaceship that has been lost for several years. This movie does have some gore. This is one of those movies that on the list that is going to have the horrifying visuals and almost some satanic cult stuff is going on. It does have some demonic possession type stuff, maybe some paranormal stuff. This movie kind of has everything in it. And I think that's part of the reason why it kind of freaked me out is I wasn't expecting all the stuff that this movie had in it to be in it. It was kind of like, I thought this is a double disc set. Look at this. I wasn't expecting this movie to go as hard as it did. I was expecting this to be a sci-fi horror movie, maybe with some monsters or like an alien-esque movie, I guess. And what I actually got was horrifying, demonic cult, devil worshipping stuff. It almost like Hellraiser type shit at the end of this movie. And I was not prepared for it the first time I watched it, I think is what happened here. But one scene in particular was the airlock scene. And if you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. The scene with Justin, he gets stuck out in the airlock, and then some to do where it like turns on, or it opens or something like that, and it turns you like inside out. That happens to him, and it is incredibly sad, gut-wrenching scene. And it's horrifying to watch. Like I said, I don't think I was quite prepared for what type of movie this was going to be. I thought it was going to be more of an alien type movie, and it was definitely not. I did not watch this movie again for a really, 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 really long time. But now I really love it. I haven't watched it for a long time. I do need to give it a rewatch. But yeah, if you have not checked out Event Horizon, definitely do it. It is a different take on a sci-fi horror than you think it's going to be. And the shock value of what happens in this movie is definitely worth the watch for sure. I lied. I don't have 2 movies left. Now I have 2 movies left. Aren't you counting for me? Okay, so next up, that is 2005's The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I don't even know what to say about this movie. The Exorcism of Emily Rose is a slow burn exorcism court procedural. I mean, say that 3 times fast. I don't know how else to describe this movie, but that is basically what it is. It's about Emily Rose. She feels like she has an infliction. They try and exorcise her, and terrible things happen, and they end up in court because of it. It is definitely a slow burn, but it's worth its weight in storytelling. The visuals alone in this movie and the cinematography are so amazing, and it is what makes the horror so terrifying. It's terrifying what happens to Emily Rose, and it terrified me to watch it happen. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend checking it out. Usually exorcism movies freak me out anyway. It's the genre that terrifies me the most, I think. Our exorcism movies and paranormal movies are a close second, are what terrify me the most. If you haven't freaking noticed in my list. But this one is one that does it the best. I mean, I'll put this up against The Exorcist. I'll put this up against any exorcism movie, to be honest. The Rite, I'll put it up against anything. This exorcism movie is one of the most terrifying. And it has a lot to do with Jennifer Carpenter's performance and her look in this movie. Her performance is what makes a lot of the scenes terrifying. She does such a good job. She puts her heart and soul into the character in this. And I also believe that this might be based on true events, but I have never actually dug into the story behind this to see how true they actually are. And I don't know if I want to. There was a point in time in my life where this was a comfort movie and I watched it quite frequently. I don't do that anymore because I think over time it just got scarier and scarier to me. I don't know. All right, last but not least, I don't have a physical release of this last movie, and that's because I never bought it because it unsettled me to the point where I didn't want it. And that is, isn't it stupid to even admit something like that? Like a movie unsettled you to the point where you didn't even want to buy it. 2018's Hereditary. I know. This is a classic movie. I'll probably end up buying it at some point. I watched this movie during the day, which I shouldn't have, but I'm kind of glad I did because who knows what would have happened to me had I actually watched it appropriately alone at night like I did the rest of these movies. But I watched it during the day by myself. Terrified me. It made me uncomfortable. The scene with Millie Chaparro, you know what I'm talking about. I hated it. I hated all of it. I hated everything that transpired after that with the family, just the uncomfortableness, them going at each other because of everything. All of the events with Toni Collette afterwards. This movie is terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. This movie, to me, after I watched it, I was like, this is the next Exorcist. This is like the modern day Exorcist. This movie today is what The Exorcist did back then to people. You know what I mean? That's how I felt about this movie when I was done watching it. And I was like, I'm done. I saw it once. I don't need to see it ever again. So I was like, I'm not buying it. I didn't buy it. And I'm fine with, I saw it the one time and I was fine with never seeing it again. Never. Just the sheer visuals and situations in this movie are undescribable. Like, I can sit and watch gore all day long. Reanimator, street trash. Like, none of that shit bothers me. You know what I mean? It's like it's... I don't know why. It's the paranormal possession, demonic shit that, like, gets me. You know what I mean? Like, you would think these would not be the movies that would be on my list of movies that traumatized me for life. There's like other movies out there, you know what I mean? Like, obviously there are the movies that would change me as a person, you know what I mean? Like Serbian Film and all of those movies. I Spit on Your Grave, that shit, you know, like, yeah, those are melt-changing movies. I get it. Those don't scare me though, you know? Those give me the ick, right? Like, you don't watch those because you want to be scared and whatever. Like, those just give you the ick. Yeah. Make you uncomfortable for no reason. These movies scare the shit out of you and you can't go home at night by yourself type of movie. All right, that is it. That is all. That is my list of 10 movies that genuinely scared me. Kill the comments below. Give me your list of movies that genuinely scared you. Let me know if you have seen or not seen any of these movies and which ones you were going to check out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And until the next time we gather, have a killer day. Peace.